Gio Ruggiero caught all of our attention at Daytona.
This kid is fast.
A really impressive rookie.
Awesome performance by this young racer. Gio's proven that he's in a spot where he wants to be.
Well, you see Gio's rookie stats as he's got this season off to a really good start. I don't think it surprised anybody tonight when he got the pole.
Not at all, and you can see he's the best in every category for the rookies. And Joey, every now and then a guy comes along and runs a few races, and you say he's going to win truck races. Gio is on that list for me.
He's right on the edge of it for sure. This is a tough series to get broken into. Learn the tracks, learn the trucks, learn how to work with your team, all those things. I know Josh has got a little bit more info.
Well, Gio, first career pole. So how do you turn this pole into your first career win out here tonight?
Yeah, just got to be patient and be there at the end. It's going to be a long race. Just got to have good pit stops and good strategy. So I think we got a really fast 17 Tundra, and I'm excited for the race.
You've really been hitting your groove right now in the season. 4 top 10s in the last 5 races. What has allowed you to have this consistency running in the top 10 and having a chance to compete for wins?
Yeah, just having a great team behind me. My guys work so hard and they do such a great job. So super thankful and proud of them, and looking to keep building on this momentum and pull off a win soon.
Good luck out there tonight, Gio. He's going to lead the field to green, Kevin.
Gio's done a great job, and when you look at his experience and some of these young guys that have so much experience in ARCA and Winter in ARCA and all the series that they've run in, I don't think it's that big a surprise that he's got that speed.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think, too, tonight he's going to get to race against some of the guys that have a ton of experience, right? We talked about Kyle Busch with 8 wins here, but also Ross Chastain. These guys, they're able to learn from the Cup guys, you know, moonlight a little bit into the truck series.
But what about this? He's starting on the pole at Charlotte. I mean, that's got to be a lot of pressure. It has to have been a couple of tough hours for him as he gets ready to buckle into this truck.
Yeah, and he's got his teammates right behind him. Tricon 1, 2, 3 tonight. So we'll see if those Toyotas can stay up front. And it's about time to get these engines started. So let's go downstairs and get it going.
Charlotte Motor Speedway, here to say the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Lucky Rewards winner, Kenneth Peoples.
Joe, start your engine.
We've got them fired up, and when we come back, we're going to get the green flag here at Charlotte Motor Speedway on a great night to go truck racing.
The Craftsman Truck Series heads to Charlotte Motor Speedway. This mile-and-a-half quad oval proclaims to be America's home for racing. The track was built in 1959, but the Truck Series raced here for the first time in 2003. The 24-degree bank turns allow multi-lane racing throughout the race. We talked with Connor Mozak about how the truck handles at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, Charlotte's one of my favorites. It's a home track for me growing up in Charlotte. It's got 2 really different corners. I feel like they're not different really shape-wise, but grip levels are really different. 1 and 2 is really smooth. Feels like it's got a lot more grip. But it's another one you can go all the way down on the bottom or up the top, although you don't have the seams there, so it's hard to have the distinct lanes. But down in 3 and 4, the paint down on the bottom has a lot of grip, especially on older tires. And the middle is really rough, so it's not a place you really want to be, at least for long. But at the top, you can kind of get away with going up there as well, but it is rough too, so you got to be able to have a truck that handles through those bumps.
Last year, Nick Sanchez charged to the front from the 10th position on a restart with 9 laps left. Sanchez took the lead from Christian Eckes, who was on older tires. Fresh tires propelled Sanchez and Corey Heim to the front to battle it out. Sanchez was able to hold off Heim and secure the checkered flag. Will Heim be able to secure the win this year, or will another driver take home the checkered flag today? Let's find out.
I gotcha, man. You've been true.
Lane Riggs.
Oh, he's going to lean on him.
Oh, both of them get into the ball. White flag is in the air. Slap of this race. Lane Riggs into Corey Heim. Corey Heim goes around. It's battle of the teammates. Chandler, Smith, checkered flag.
Such a professional young man. Obviously, 4th time this season that he's failed to win after a dominant truck.
Well, we had quite the battle last week at North Wilkesboro Speedway between those two, and tonight we don't expect anything less. What do you say we dial them up, Joey?
Yeah, let's go for it. Corey Heim, Joey Logano up here in the FS1 booth. You got us?
I got you, Joey. You got me?
I gotcha, man. You've been fast at every track you go to. What's it going to take today to finish the deal?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's just going to be a lot of minimizing mistakes. You know, I feel like, you know, I've been in these late race restart scenarios and kind of giving guys an opportunity to get inside of me and potentially use me up and whatnot. So just got to kind of minimize that and try to just be in our own zip code tonight. So we've had a lot of success in Charlotte in the past. Haven't been able to close the deal out, but I've always had really fast Tundra Journey Pros here, so thankful for Shotgun Garage and Safe Flight for putting me in a great opportunity, and hopefully we can go execute on it.
Well, thank you, man. Have a good one out there.
Well, Corey Heim, he's definitely been in his own zip code a few times, but what do you think about dialing up his rival there last week, Mike? Let's do
adversary.
it. Dial him up, Lane Riggs.
Hey, Lane Riggs, it's Waltrip and the Fox team. Do you copy?
Hey, I got you guys at the booth, barely.
All right, I'll speak louder or slower or something. That's a good-looking UNC Charlotte truck you got there. After practice today, Lane, do you have the truck to go win this race tonight?
I do think so, yes, sir. We weren't that great on the practice speeds on initial takeoff, but I think we had some of the best long-run pace in the field. So just super thankful to this Front Row Motorsports team and having my alma mater on the race truck, UNC Charlotte. Go Niners.
All right, well, go Lane Riggs. One spot better than last week. What do you say?
Well, let's take a look. Well, let's take a look at the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 starting grid. Starting on the front row, we've got Gio Ruggiero and Tanner Gray.
And then in row 2 here, you got Corey Heim. We talked to him earlier. You know he's going to be fast as he always is. And Ross Chastain, another Cup guy that you got to assume is going to be fast as well.
We got a fast row there, Joey. I don't know if we can beat them or not. Caden Honeycutt, though, has had a lot of speed all year long. And to his outside, Daniel Hemrick in that number 19 Napa Auto Parts truck.
And as we roll through the rest of the field from row 4 on back right here, see a lot of good trucks on this page. You got Lane Riggs right there we just talked to. Rajah Caruth right outside of him on row 4.
And you see row 6, there's a strong row. Ty Majeski and Kyle Busch. That row's going forward.
You know what I love, Joey and Kevin, about the trucks? I mean, Ben Rhodes is in row 11. Tyler Ankrum, 12. There's Parker Kliger and Matt Craftsman back. These guys can all win this race. We have so many competitive trucks.
This is as deep of a field as I've seen in a long time, and you see a lot of those players mostly at the front, but we've got a couple of guys scattered throughout the field as we look at the rest of the field here. Let's go down to our pit roaders. Josh?
Well, the last time Ross Chastain was in a truck here at Charlotte, he found his way to victory lane. That was back in 2022. And he said since then he has been dying to get back in the truck and compete here at Charlotte. Well, he got his wish today. And during practice, he showed his confidence with that truck, and he showed speed as well. Fastest in practice. I talked to the team after that session. They said they feel really good about the truck. And if all goes to plan for this 44 team, they will be smashing a watermelon at the end of this night. Let's check in with Todd Bodine, who checked out the track out there earlier today.
Thanks, Josh. In the truck series, we've raced 5 different mile-and-a-half speedways, and they all have their own different quirks about them. But in my opinion, there is none that are as tough as Charlotte Motor Speedway. Built in 1960, Charlotte Speedway was built for cars that are run 140 mile an hour at the end of the straightaway. Tonight, these trucks are going to enter the corners at about 180 mile an hour. That makes the racetrack really narrow, tough to negotiate. And then it's gotten rough. Past few years, this place has gotten a lot rougher. I kind of like to describe turns 3 and 4 as driving down a dirt road at 100 mile an hour, trying to dodge the potholes. That's how rough it is. And then to add it, make it a little tougher, the racetrack and NASCAR got together, and from about here up, they added some traction compound. So it's going to make passing very critical, very tough to do tonight because there's so much grip up here and not as much grip down there. So the bottom line is, the team that makes it to victory lane tonight, yeah, they're going to be happy and excited to win the race, but guess what? They conquered Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kevin?
Well, like Todd said, this is a really challenging racetrack. I never found a lap that was easy to drive.
You just dive down into turn 3 as we're going to look at the Craftsman track description. It looks normal, right? 1.5 miles, both ends banked 24 degrees. Oh, but it's so far from it. Todd did a great job of describing how difficult this racetrack is. It'll be fun to watch these guys battle it tonight.
As we pull up the race analysis here, there you see it, 134 laps, 201 miles. The stages are quick, 30 laps each, and then that final stage, 74 laps. They got 4 sets of tires to play with tonight. They are going to want tires here tonight, as well as you see the fuel window, 50 to 55 laps. So strategy can come into play. I think you're going to want tires here.
Got a couple of onboards tonight in the 5 truck, the Celsius onboard camera with Tony Breidinger.
These pictures just, you guys have raced recently. I haven't gotten to do this. They make me want to go get in a truck. They're so fun to watch the drivers battle the conditions here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, we know this one's going to be fast. Got the Safe Flight on board with Corey Heim here. We expect this truck to be up front all night.
Well, he has been every other week here. And it seems like for Corey Heim, you know, he's fast, whether it's a short track or 1.5 miles. He's always there. But it just seems like something's been happening over and over again. I'm sure he's hoping to have a regular race here for himself tonight.
Well, we've got a little bit of radio chatter as we're getting ready to come to the green from our pole sitter here, Gio Ruggiero.
Appreciate everybody on this crew. Appreciate everybody. Go out here and execute all night. We know we can be there at the end. I promise you we'll have a good night, man. Looking forward to it. Good luck, brother. Yeah, copy that. Thanks, guys.
Well, there's nothing better than starting on the pole at your home race. We know how important this race is to all the teams, all the drivers. They've got the best seat in the house right now. But we're going to find out if they can hold on to that as we get this race started.
Action's going to heat up early. I mean, they'll be 3 wide off turn 2. That's just what we do in the trucks.
Well, I've never seen them wait around and see how it's all going to play out. So we're going to find out as we approach the restart here. The green is out. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Racing from Charlotte. Here we go.
Nice push from Corey Heim. You can see he's got the tailgate of that 17 truck and pushing on them, giving him the lead all by himself. But look, behind him.
You said they'd be 3 wide coming off turn 2. They were 3 wide going into turn 1. You see Tanner Gray trying to cross over Corey Heim there on the bottom. Not able to hold the bottom. He's going to lose momentum off of turn 4 here.
Yeah, and you hear how much throttle time that Corey Heim has right there. A lot of throttle with these trucks. A lot of downforce, a lot of side force, a lot of draft, and that keeps these trucks really close together on these 1.5 mile racetracks.
Yeah, and I think experience there for Corey Heim really played into his hands. He went into turn 3 the lap before this, went to the top, got that clean air, and carried that momentum to the outside of Gio on the first lap.
He took it to the high side in 3 and 4 and got the lead, but Joey in qualifying just so fast right around the bottom, and he's doing a nice job of gaining the lead back temporarily.
Well, something I just saw there in the front of Gio's truck, when you see it, look at that garbage right there on the front grill of the 17 truck. That is a lot covering the grill opening. They need to look out for their temperatures rising here, and maybe falling into second might not be a bad thing if he can get that off. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot of debris. As you see Ross Chastain drive to the inside of Gio Ruggiero.
Wow, he took it down in there, didn't he? As you see Tanner Gray wiggling up the hill there. Maybe Gio can get right on the back.
There it goes. You see it? I think so.
Yeah, I think most of it blew off right there. Just a small piece left on the inside. Looks like all of it blew off.
Yeah, I think he's good to go now.
And this is one thing that I noticed. Sorry, Mike. This is one thing that we covered in qualifying right there. Gio likes to run the bottom of the racetrack, and that's what won him the pole, was being able to run the bottom. You see those first two trucks, they're going to be really difficult to pass with that momentum in the middle lane.
Look at Ross way up the track after that lead.
Ross's truck is really fast to be able to do that. And Corey is blocking his butt off, trying to stay in front of him. Not going to happen as Ross Chastain's able to get to the outside of Corey Heim.
Listen to that. Never came out of the gas and drove around him, but then lost the nose.
He drove in there to try to clear him to make sure that he didn't get to his outside. Ross is going to try his luck on the inside this time.
Corey Heim continues the streak. He's led every race this season.
Whoa! Big moment for Ross Chastain coming up the hill.
Oh, and into the wall.
Yeah, you see a slight scrape right there of the wall as you see Corey Heim back to the inside of Ross Chastain.
He's going to try to clear him, but someone's got to give. Wow. Guys, this is 5-6 laps into the race. This is awesome.
Welcome to the Craftsman Truck Series.
See Gio Ruggiero still down on the bottom of the racetrack as these leaders continue to battle. Ross is really comfortable up in that top lane, and you know this, Joey. He's not going to give an inch. He's here to win this race, and that's it. These other two are racing for points, but it doesn't seem like that really matters right now.
Hey, you said it. Ross got nothing to lose. He's just out there having fun. He's like, yeah, let's go race for the lead. Why not? Try to gain control of this race, and he just finally settled some stuff out with a little bit of distance there. I'll be interested to see if he can drive away now.
Yeah, he had the faster truck, had a big battle with Heim. That was Caden Honeycutt when I screamed somebody's in the wall. Let's see if we can take a review of that. Still going. Caden's still got the pace. He's up front, but watch this. Just ever so slightly. But look at that right rear bend in. That's not cool. That's really hurts the aerodynamics of the truck.
Yeah, not cool. Not good at all. You don't want that. You want that right rear hanging out there in the air. That's side force.
Yeah, and they'll actually build these bumpers, and those quarter panels have a nice little dish, and that bumper where you saw him hit the fence right there is really sensitive as to how the shape is in the aerodynamics of this truck.
Nobody's told him yet that it's bent in, though, because he's still going to town trying to make the move on Tanner Gray there.
And Tanner Gray, he started on the front row here. Definitely struggling to start. He's back here in 5th, 6th position.
Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith sizing this battle up. He'll try to go get a couple of spots here as he goes on to the inside of Honeycutt.
Yeah, that's the really difficult part of making a pass, not making a pass, as you see Chandler get a big run right there. When you don't finish those passes like we saw right there, then the guy behind you gets a run like Chandler did. And when they're side by side like this, it really drags, makes a huge hole in the air if somebody's right behind them.
Lane's got a fast truck.
Yeah, they ripped the bottom really good. They really put a lot of distance on Hemrick. You see Chandler Smith here working underneath Tanner Gray.
Big
draft.
Big drafting push there. Tanner Gray said, thank you very much.
Yeah. Watch these trucks go through 3 and 4. Look at the noses bouncing around. It doesn't look that bad, but the frequency of the bumps, wow.
Oh.
He's trying to get in there. The frequency of those bumps are so quick, and it really shakes the truck. And you'll see trucks just have these big moments all night long down there. Here's a slider for you.
We've been seeing a lot of sliders here early in the going, haven't we?
Well, you've got that traction compound to lean on in that middle lane, and you want to put your truck in front of the truck that you're passing to try to make their front end slide, to break their momentum and be able to finish that pass. And Honeycutt did a great job right there of taking that lane away.
They just hot dog it down into the corner and then slide up and take the spot away.
That's what's happening. They said we'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably going to see that happen here again.
I'd say the name for the first time, but it won't be the last time. There's Kyle Busch sneaking up on this battle here, and he's going to make the move to the inside.
Yeah, we saw Kyle in practice fighting a really loose truck, Michael. Back of that truck all over the place on new tires, and you mentioned it. They're going to get that truck figured out. He and Brian Patty, a lot of experience up on that pit box. 8-time winner here in Kyle Busch.
And he's up to 8th place already.
I tell you, it's been an incredible start of the race here.
It has.
There's just been side-by-side racing. You still see Tanner Gray. He's on a struggle bus right now. It seems like he's having a hard time trying to maintain position, looking for a fast lane for his truck. I've seen him on the bottom. I've seen him moving up. It's like he can't figure out what's best for him.
And you saw Kyle Busch in front of him all the way up the racetrack right there in the third lane through turns 1 and 2. So lots of lane options right here. And we're off to a great start here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Take a short break and be right back. Welcome back to the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. And we have gotten off to a pretty fast start here, but it seems like the 11 truck of Corey Heim has settled in. As you see the back kind of dance around right there, but his lap times on the long run seems to be pretty superior to Ross Chastain currently.
Boy, you say settled in. He didn't look too settled to me. He's bouncing around the back of the truck. That's the fast one. That's what I'm talking about. Charlotte Motor Speedway is such a challenging mile and a half that even when you are the fastest truck on the racetrack, it still feels like crap. Just to be honest, it's just hard to drive around this racetrack.
I love what Kevin said. He settled in, and then we look up, and he's sliding all over the place. That's the way these guys race these trucks. Got some real movers early in the going.
Well, something we know about Corey Heim, we see it right here. He is so fast on the long haul. We see that every single week here in the Truck Series. If he's going to get beat, it's going to be on the short run. A truck doesn't fire off the fastest, but once you give it 10, 15 laps, look out, it's going to be fast. So you don't know how these races play out, and that's why sometimes it bites them, because you got such a fast truck, but it's on the long haul, and many, many times we see these races end with a short run.
Well, you talk about a short run. We're coming to 9 to go here in stage 1. So when these trucks go green, they fire off some laps pretty quick, and with these short stages, it doesn't take long to get through them.
There's our biggest movers early in the going. Matt Crafton up 7 spots, and this guy, Kyle Busch, is up 6, but he's racing his way up toward the top 5. That's an impressive start to this race. We were a little bit surprised early in practice how off his times were, but they got that thing squared away near the end of that practice session, and he's coming.
Yeah, and the thing that I really like about what we're seeing right now is not only Kyle Busch, but really everybody, they can move all over this racetrack. And there's a lot of options when you get into the corner. And when your truck starts to handle a little bit different, you can move from the bottom, you can move to the middle, you can move to the top. You don't have to follow the guy in front of you. As you see Kyle use the whole track right there.
He's ringing the back end of that thing all the way up to the very top of the wall. It loses a little bit of time there. That's one thing about Kyle Busch. He's going to get what he can out of it right here, but he knows that there's going to be time to work on this truck. You give it time. He doesn't struggle for very long, especially here in the Truck Series. He's going to figure it out. He's going to have a moment for his crew chief to work on it, and he'll keep getting faster throughout the race.
Brian Patty, he's an experienced guy. There's nobody with more experience on top of the box. Look at that line. Kyle's right out next to the fence. You said it, Joey. This is so cool to watch these guys maneuver all over this racetrack. And a quick shout out to Gio Ruggiero. We talked about him starting on the pole. He's fallen back to 5th, but he's settled in the top 5, thinking about what his truck needs, what kind of adjustments he needs to go up there and get the lead of this race.
And a lot of times, that's a good thing, Michael. Until you're 100% comfortable, there's no reason to put yourself in a position that you're not comfortable with and tear your truck up. So settling in, understanding where you need to be, what everybody else is doing, seeing all these different lines and things that are happening. He's settled into a nice pace, and I look at that as a positive for a rookie.
Well, look at Kyle Busch here. He's been running the absolute top, running at the wall. Gio kind of takes a little bit of his line there and takes his air, but the track's moving up. Trucks are moving up, and what I've seen here the last couple laps, Kyle's getting these huge runs down the straightaway. This time it's not going to be as much because Gio recognized it and blocked that.
Tom Majeski racing alongside Matt Mills. Mills a little bit shaky on the bottom, had to go up around the lap truck. Justin Carroll there in the 90.
I believe he used him as a pick.
Yeah.
Right there.
Roger Bruce got his eyes on this battle as he slides up from the 11th position in that HendrickCars.com truck.
And I have to imagine a lot of these guys are looking forward to the end of this stage. We watch practice. Not a lot of guys ran several consecutive laps in a row to really understand where their truck is. But day to night, that's a big change in handling typically here at Charlotte.
And then also, Joey, when you're Kyle Busch and you have the experience he has, Corey Haim's proven to be special as well. But these guys know how to talk to their crew chiefs to get the adjustments they need to get the truck even better yet.
When you look at the gaps here of some of the faster trucks, we see obviously Corey Haim right there on your screen. He's going fast, a couple seconds in front of Chastain, but Riggs has been able to run down Chastain as well in the long haul. So, Riggs is going to have a little better track position if they have a good pit stop after the stage. And then you may see that rivalry once again with the 34 and the 11.
Yeah, the good trucks have consistently found their way towards the front. And as we saw last week, the 11 of Corey Haim, the 34 of Lane Riggs, you've got Ross Chastain right in the middle of them. But those two trucks of Haim and Riggs, those have consistently been fast trucks, and that's why they run into each other every once in a while.
When you're racing for the win, everybody goes for it, right? You put extra into it, you're going to make the bigger move because winning matters that much, right? Like, second hurts, I know from experience. Second hurts, it's really about the win, and drivers are willing to do the big moves, and yeah, a lot of times there's emotions that flare after that.
Well, as we come to the final lap of this stage, we watch Lane Riggs start the final lap here. But Corey Haim has put himself in a position to dominate the second half of this stage. He's done a great job, and as we've seen all year, he's had the long run speed to go along with everything else in that 11 truck. Right through the middle of the racetrack. And Corey Haim is going to come to his 7th stage win of 2025 and his 2nd at Charlotte.
There it is.
Well, it's still Haim time in stage 1. Consistent with pretty much everything that he's done this year. We'll see if he can continue it. in just 2 days. It's the biggest day in motorsports as the greatest spectacle in racing. The 109th Indy 500 comes to Fox, with Joseph Newgarden going for a historic three-peat. Coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern, Sunday on Fox.
I'm going to be tuned into that, man. That's a special day.
Yeah, and as we got to the end of the stage right there, Tony Breitinger had a little bit of trouble with that right front tire.
See it go down there and into the outside wall. She goes just slight contact. They've been on and off pit road and got her fixed up.
Yeah, when we went to commercial and first looked down, we thought the engine blew, and then we saw the right front tire down, making all that smoke right there.
I mean, it's a pretty good hit into the wall there. You know, especially right front first. You got to assume that the toe's bent a little bit on that truck now. Maybe some other things. As you can see, they're trying to pull the fenders out because they don't want to cut down another tire.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing at this point. Make sure that right front fender is not going to rub on that right front tire again. As you see those crew guys there, got the Sawzall out, the baseball bat trying to clearance the fender, but it still looks pretty tight on that right front tire there, so they've got a little bit of work to do to get that right. All right, pits will be open this time. See our first stage points right there. Corey Heim capitalizing another 10 points on that stage win. And now we're going to put it into the hands of the guys on pit road. Can Corey Heim hold that lead that he earned in the first stage? Let's go down to Josh.
I'll start with the 34 of Lane Riggs. He came over the radio, said he needs a little more rear security. They're going to make a couple adjustments to try and help him out, air pressure and a track bar as well. For him, for Ross Chastain, he said the truck started too loose, then it got too tight towards the end of that run. A little adjustment for the 44 as well, Todd.
Yeah, I spoke with Corey Heim after practice, and you could tell in his voice he loved the way his truck was driving. Started that run off just a little bit free, but came right to him, and he loved it at the end. Small adjustments for Corey Heim. Kevin?
Yeah, Corey Heim, he was definitely confident as we see the race on the pit road right here.
Really good stop by Caden Honeycutt's team. He's able to pick up 3 spots. I watched the stop right across from us here, and they just were smooth down there. I was curious if they were going to work on that right rear fender, but they didn't. They just had a fast pit stop.
Well, Caden Honeycutt takes the lead from Corey Heim on pit road. We'll see how that pans out on the restart when we come back. Well, there's always a lot of great moments that have happened through the years, but for us, we've been fortunate to experience some of those, Mike.
Wow, going to the victory lane in Charlotte with the Wood Brothers, one of the best moments of my career. And of course, you got the big Coca-Cola 600 win back in 2011.
And this was a special night, all-star win. I mean, it just means so much to win here in Charlotte. That one particularly meant $1 million, so I really enjoyed that night. But just winning here has always been a special thing. So many great events going on in Charlotte this week as well.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame put out a display of the Wood Brothers and all the historic wins and things that they've done in this amazing sport of ours. And I was fortunate enough to spend some time with Kyle and Richard, my daughter Macy, there, and the Wood Brothers on Wednesday night, celebrating their accomplishments in our sport.
Wood Brothers is a great family, meant so much to this sport, the Petty family, the Waltrip family. And when you come to Charlotte Motor Speedway, whether it's for the truck race, Xfinity race, Cup race, there's something going on at all the race shops. Every day there is something to do during this week. So great weekend of motorsports.
How beautiful is this racetrack, though? You see, it's America's home for racing. It's just Marcus Smith and his team just do a great job of making every inch of this place something fun for the fans to do.
Yeah, and when you go out into the midway, it's alive and well. And even for the ARCA and truck race tonight, we've got a great crowd on hand. And these truckers put on a great race in the first stage.
Wow, it was so competitive. You ever watch that TV when you're racing here, guys? I never got to see it up there.
I take a glance every now and again. See
Gotta
what's
look
going
up
on.
there.
Just see what's happening.
All right, we had a few penalties right there. 77 over the wall too soon. 42 and 52 uncontrolled tires.
Got to clean that up if you're going to have a top 10 finish here. Get away with it right now, but as this race marches on, can't have any mistakes.
Well, something interesting I see here, Caden Honeycutt, he's the leader. He took the bottom on this start, and we've seen everyone fighting for the top. I think he's thinking that maybe he can get a good enough push on that bottom lane. It did clear the initial start. The bottom lane did clear, so maybe he took note of that and thinking that Kyle Busch is going to probably give him a good push.
He's probably a pretty good driver, Kyle Busch. I bet you he can push really good.
Probably knows how to restart fairly well at this point of his career.
As we approach the Echo Park restart zone, we're going to find out if that lane choice is going to work out for Caden Honeycutt.
So really no pushes going on there. Kyle's just now able to get to his bumper a little bit later than what Caden wants for sure.
I think it's going to work out, though. He shoots ahead there of Corey Heim and slides up in front of him.
And we know that, you know, Ross Chastain, you see him up there in the top lane there on the outside of Kyle Busch right now. He lost a few spots on pit road, but we know his truck fires off really fast the initial run of this race.
Lane Riggs, you see back there 3 wide in the middle, losing ground.
Yeah, Lane Riggs, you see that green truck in the middle, just not able to get going. We know that'll be one of our fastest trucks on the long run, but right now having a really, really rough restart as we get going.
Just battle for the lead.
And Kyle Busch is not able to clear up there, and you see, look at the push that Corey Heim gives Caden Honeycutt down into the corner, slips to his top.
Wow, what a move.
That was cool.
Yes, it was.
What a push. It just really got Honeycutt to say, just, I don't know what to do. Just, you don't push me all the way into the corner, and just able to slip to his top and get that clean air early in the run here. See what Ross can do. He just gets by Kyle Busch here right now.
That truck looks really stable. As soon as I say that, he'll be sideways, but man, what a turn 1 and 2 he had there.
Yeah,
Busch.
The thing about that 44 truck of Ross Chastain, we saw this in the first stage, his truck fires off really good. It didn't fade a lot, but it definitely faded compared to Corey Heim as he got towards the second half of the run. But he was the fastest truck in the beginning of the first stage as well.
Well, and he's showing it again right now, right? He's coming from 6th place. He's back all the way up to 2nd from the restart just a few laps ago.
We've got a little bit of audio from the 44 truck of Ross Chastain.
How'd those tires look, Wally? I said the laps were pretty wore out. It didn't punish the rights as bad as I thought it did, you know. The right front for sure, you know, it wasn't not over the line, I'd say.
Well, that's Ross Chastain asking his crew chief, Wally Rogers, what those tires look like. And from the driver's side, you want to know if you've got some heavy tire wear, if you need to manage those tires, if you need to not push so hard at the beginning. So that's great information.
And you're starting to see. Like we talked about how fast Ross fires off, and it's kind of looks like it's mellowing down a little bit already. Like he's not got a ton of speed as Honeycutt's able to get back to the inside of him.
Side draft is a massive effect on these trucks, as you see Honeycutt be able to pull that air off the side of that 44 truck and actually shoot down to the inside of Corey Heim.
That was impressive to be able to do that. The top lane we've seen has been dominant, and Honeycutt in the 45 on the bottom here just able to drive right past Corey Heim.
Look at him, and he's keeping it pinned too.
Got him.
That's a nice move.
Look at the run Kyle Busch is going to have off of turn 4. He was up top. Everyone was down in the bottom. He's able to get a run here.
Well, here comes Corey Heim.
And this has brought there's a top 6 trucks, all bumper to bumper right here.
You see one of those trucks that's in that battle, Joey, is Lane Riggs. We talked about him getting 3 wide, hung in the middle. Look at that green truck.
And he made a lot of ground up in a really short amount of time, Mike. When these leaders started mixing it up side by side, passing each other back and forth, that allowed that 34 truck to pull up on this lead group. But the thing that I've noticed, that 7 truck, he's in this group, but he definitely seems to have the biggest handful behind the wheel.
I mean, they're literally inches off of the wall. Look at that. At 180 miles an hour. So fun to watch.
Kyle's gonna have a big run off the top here again.
Lane up in front of him, Kyle down to the bottom. And so the story goes.
And there's not been a lot of trucks in practice. We're really starting to see that third lane come into play. With that resin, Joey, when it's not run in, does it ever get wore out? Do you think the middle lane is losing a little bit of grip? Because now we're starting to see that top lane really have some a lot more trucks up there as we see Ross really loose into turn 1.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to say if you're not in the truck on what's best, because we've seen that the top lane's strong, but we've also seen the bottom lane that it seems to be hanging better at this run, and I think probably some of that, quite possibly, since the track's cooling off. And as the track cools off, you can start to rock with the bottom a little bit better.
Well, as we're enjoying this great racing, we're not going to let you miss anything. We're going to go side by side for our next break. Welcome back to NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Racing from Charlotte. See our leader is still Corey Heim. And as we saw in the first stage, as the run goes on, his truck just keeps getting better compared to the competition.
Yeah, I think no doubt you've got to get in front of the 11 truck of Corey Heim early in the run. That is his weakness. if you can't get it done in the beginning, look out. That truck just keeps getting faster.
I mean, you guys are Cup champions. You've got to be impressed with what Corey Heim does week in and week out as we look in on our Truck Series champion, Ty Majeski. He's had a good run early.
Yeah, and making a little bit of noise, running 6th right now. Hadn't mentioned his name in that first stage, and now he's worked his way up right behind this lead pack. For more on Majeski, let's go down to Todd Bodine.
I just spoke with Joe Scherer, Ty's crew chief, and Ty really likes his truck on a long run. Just like Corey Heim, little too free to begin, but it really comes to him. Joe said they're just making small adjustments to not go over the edge and make it too tight on that long run.
Well, you see the back of that truck still dancing around. I mean, we're seeing all the trucks move around, but Ty's truck definitely still looks like it's on the free side to me.
You can get an adjustment. Already raced up to the 6th position after falling back early.
And you know, it's been watching lap times here. The last few laps, Lane Riggs has had some good lap times. All but this last lap, but up until that point, he's been able to catch. Yeah, he was behind Majeski when we went to commercial break. He's passed Majeski and Ross since that point. He's been able to go fast. Yeah, he did that in the first stage as well.
At the first stage, he was the only truck running lap times comparable to Corey Heim. So that truck's going to be solid. He just had a bad restart after the stage break. You see Raja and Matt Crafton battling along.
12th and 13th position right there.
Tyler Ankrum looking on.
Yeah, we see Tyler Ankrum right behind him. He definitely didn't have the qualifying run that he wanted, so he's worked his way up, made a little bit of ground up through the first couple stages of this race.
Yeah, it seemed like the first run of this race, everyone's kind of inching it up to the wall in the middle of the corner. See, like, you know, is it clean up there? Can I really push it up there? I don't want to get in the fence. Now there is so many trucks that are just smushed up against the wall, trying to get that air cushion, as we call it, that air that packs up against the side of the car and the wall and gives you more downforce. Everyone's looking for any kind of grip they can find at this point.
Yeah, and you see Tony Breidinger right behind this battle that we've been talking about with the Celsius on board. Had a little bit of trouble with that right front tire. Got into the wall in stage 1.
Yeah, extended time on pit road for that 5 truck. She's currently 10 laps off the pace as we zero in on Corey Heim storming toward another stage win, Kevin. Just a couple laps to go if he can hold it together.
Corey Heim is, when I look at all the controversy and all the battles and all the things that we talk, his demeanor, Mike, has just really impressed me. He can let things go. And one thing that comes with that, when you have the vehicles that run as fast as Heim does, as we watch this battle here for 12th, 13th, and 14th, it is you want to focus on the speed, and you don't want any distractions.
Yeah, and you're right. He's just so mature for his age. You know, if something goes wrong, he says, well, we just got to clean things up. I've got to be better. My team's got to be better. He never blames anyone for anything.
And you hear him take a lot of the responsibility for putting himself in a position to be vulnerable, to let those guys have the slide job, to let them be in a position to where they even have a chance. But as we come to the end of the stage 2 here at Charlotte, Corey Heim is going to do what he's done so many times this year. 8th stage win of the season, tied for the most all time through 11 races.
Wow.
So that just tells you the dominance that Corey Heim and this 11 team have had. Well, it's past my bedtime, but right now, it's Heim time. Corey Heim continues to dominate here at Charlotte. Well, you see Humpy Wheeler, such a huge part of everything that's happened here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Always a character, always trying to put on a show. You see a lot of the unique things that have happened here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, blowing stuff up, cars flying through the air, fire.
He used to set up a boxing ring down in the infield between practice and qualifying so that the fans would have something to watch, and that's just a tremendous honor. I talked to his daughter, Patty Wheeler, and the whole family's just so thrilled that Humpy's been able to receive this honor. I think it's really cool.
Humpy winning our landmark award, 2026 NASCAR Hall of Fame award. And we've got some other Hall of Famers that have been voted in this year. Kurt Busch, Harry Gant, Ray Hendrick.
Kurt Busch, Daytona 500 winner, champion, well-deserved honor. I got to race against handsome Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. What a great man he is.
Does he ever age?
No, I don't think he has to. Not today, he hasn't.
I had the opportunity to sit in on the voting committee as the most recent champion.
Cool.
Kevin, you've been able to do it. And listening to everybody, have an opinion on, I think this person should be in the Hall of Fame, or that person for this reason and that reason, and everyone kind of has this debate in there. And it's really fun to listen. It's full of, whether it's some ex-drivers, team owners, media members, people that know the history of our sport. And it's so much fun to listen. It's like one of the coolest parts of winning the championship is being in that room.
Yeah, you go in with your list and you just mark them all off by the time you get done. And you might have one after you hear all the arguments. But here we go. We saw Pit Road mix up our front runners last time, and here we go again. Josh?
Let's start with Lane Riggs, finished top 5 in both stages so far tonight. He said when he fired off, they were on the splitter too much during that last run, so they're going to make a couple adjustments to help get that truck where it needs to be. Todd?
Kyle Busch is known as one of the best there is at driving a loose race truck. Tonight, the truck's a little too loose for him, a little bit of a track bar adjustment. And guys, bad news for the rest of the field. Corey Heim is making no adjustments on this stop. Kevin?
Well, that's good and bad, but when your truck's as fast as Corey Himes, as you watch his pit crew finish up right here.
Loses the lead again.
Wow. Last 2 pit stops, he's lost the lead.
What about Caden Honeycutt? That team is just performing, aren't they?
They have done a great job on both pit stops so far. Corey Heim in that first pit stall, he should have that advantage, so that tells you how good of a job that Honeycutt team is doing. Well, we'll be back. Caden Honeycutt with the lead again after pit stops. Can Corey Heim get it back again? Tomorrow, it's Baseball Night in America, featuring two of the biggest stars in baseball as Shohei Ohtani leads the Dodgers against Juan Soto and the Mets, or the Guardians take on the Tigers. Check local listings for the game in your area tomorrow at 7 Eastern on Fox. Well, welcome back to NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Racing from Charlotte. And we've seen the lead mixed up again on these pit stops. And that to me is dangerous because then you lose control of the race. And sometimes that can put you in the swarm with all of the chaos that we've seen immediately on these restarts.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, when you got a truck as fast as Corey Heim, we said many times now, the weakness is the short run, and then you lose the control of the race by not having control of this initial start or restart here. As they come to the choose, Honeycutt's going to choose the bottom again because it worked last time. He's going to have Ross pushing him this time instead of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Lane Riggs is running third, but he decided to go up behind Corey Heim, and I bet you Caden Honeycutt was pretty happy to see his teammate pull in behind.
And we saw that earlier.
They gave him a good push.
Ross gave Honeycutt a nice push to get him into the lead. And sometimes when you know that you have a dominant truck and you see your teammate up there, it's like, all right, what can we do to bury this guy as far as we can in the field? And to me, that it's probably going to take some strategy like that to put Corey Heim in a position to where he loses as much on the restarts as possible to try to make him vulnerable as we get to the end of the race.
Well, I think when you have your teammates lined up like that too, most likely their spotters are standing next to each other. They can communicate, hey, where am I going to go in the box? You know, how can we get the timing of the push just right? Because if they can lock up at the right time, it's hard to get that timing just right. But if they can get that just right, they're going to be able to push clear, maybe even get Ross clear as well, right? I mean, that would be their goal. That's a pretty strong thing to do, but
and it's difficult.
It can happen.
It's difficult here because you know that if you get just a little bit too much of a shove while you're going through those gears, those rear tires will buzz, and then it gets really difficult for everybody behind you. All right, here we go as we approach the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone for the final stage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here at Charlotte.
There's the nice start you talked about for that inside lane. Caden got a great jump, and Ross is right on his tracks.
And you see Corey Heim go up to defend right there. Ross Chastain was all but clear.
Almost. That top lane is going to be tough to defend on the back straightaway.
I think Corey Heim's just going to go wherever they aren't. It's just that strong. There he goes. Up the middle, 3 wide.
Now, I think Honeycutt, you know, he lost the lead last time when Corey Heim slipped to his top, and he tried to protect it, and this time 2 trucks went by him. Ross trying to take advantage of the short run speed. He almost clears Corey Heim, but not able to do it. They're going to side draft each other down the back straightaway.
Joey, how frustrating is that, or how hard is it just to hang right there and just say, oh,
gosh, they're getting loose. I thought they wrecked right there.
And that's what the 11 truck just visually has an advantage on. It just looks like his truck is so...
Oh, they're wrecking to the front straightaway.
Big wreck. See the 38 of Chandler Smith. Ty Majeski.
Big wreck off the road.
I'm impressed we've gone this long without a wreck.
I was thinking the same thing. They just race so competitively in such tight quarters.
See 2 pretty fast racetracks right there, getting a fair amount of damage.
Oh. Hunter Mozak, the 81 with trouble as well.
Yeah, that looks like the rear end's falling out of that one.
That thing's used up, isn't it?
That might need a track bar.
I think I see it dragging the ground back there.
Yeah, last week's winner, Chandler Smith, has severe damage on the back of his truck. That truck will be done for the night. Ty Majeski, he might be able to put some tires on this truck and make some laps, but that'll take him out of contention of winning this race. Let's go back and look and see what happened right here.
Is that Gio or Jarrett? Was I seeing that correctly? That maybe got a little bit loose and hung into Chandler Smith. What's the truck in the middle there? See that?
Yeah.
Gosh, it looks like it got loose, straightened up, and then hung a right.
Like he just got like tank slapping a little bit.
Yeah.
As they call it, like the back of the truck's catching it, skidding. You're wiggling so much trying to keep up with it. And just,
I think that was Gio that had the truck away from him.
See the right front tire down. All the sparks flying out of the back of that 98 truck.
yeah, and Majeski and Chandler, they're nowhere to go. Nothing.
No.
They're just there and get the contact.
I don't know which one of you said it, but I couldn't agree more. I can't believe it took this long. We've seen trucks sideways loose. That time one got away from them.
And so easy to do off of turn 4 as that banking rolls off into the flat in the middle. That truck just has less downforce on it. Let's hear what Ty Majeski had to say on his radio.
Gotta f***ing love it. Man, I just can't even believe this stretch. It's just unbelievable.
At this point, man, it's almost comical. I mean, I hate to laugh because everybody works so hard, but what do we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ty's had one of those years, and they're coming off the championship, and they've had speed at most every racetrack they've gone to, and it seems like something has happened at some point. Usually it's been that right front fender. From about every race I've been up here in the booth, it's got a little dent in the right front. Something happens, somebody runs into it, and this time obviously a little bigger damage.
Well, you saw Chandler Smith head to the garage. But as we look at this one more time, chaos here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome back to the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. As we look at Corey Heim right there, Corey Heim has partnered with Safe Light Foundation to go blue in May to support Foster Love, a nonprofit dedicated to transforming the lives of foster children in the U.S. Scan the QR code to learn more.
And Joey, I know this foster care is near and dear to your and Brittany's heart. Had an event this week.
Yeah, we did have our foundation event, the Joey Logano Foundation. We had a country music concert down at Coyote Joe's.
Jordan Davis?
Yeah, Jordan Davis. It's like 2,400 people showed up, and they had a good time. And it was all to support foster care as well. My wife and I have such a huge heart for foster families and foster kids. Yeah, I think these kids, it was not their choice, right? This was not their decisions, and a lot of it, they just need some love. And we raised a lot of money, but hopefully we also inspired people to sign up and become a foster parent. It's such a long road for the foster parents. They need a lot of support. We work with a lot of great organizations that help give them the tools and resources they need to help these kids become a contributing member of society, right? That's the ultimate goal, is how can we break that cycle? And there's a lot of great organizations. We see one of them here on Corey Haim's truck as well. That it's a tough spot for a lot of people, and these kids they need some love, right? They need some support, and we're lucky to have a lot of people that are willing to do that.
Yeah, my mom's been a foster parent for 25 years, so
wow.
you see the opportunity that you give these kids and learn the backstory of where they came from. And man, there is just so many kids out there that they just need an opportunity to have a good family and support system around them. So great cause.
Can't you see the smiles that truck brings to kids' faces too, with Foster Love on the side of it, and how beautiful it is? Safe Flight does a great job, and really thankful for them.
And they've had that Foster Love on that truck for quite a few races this year, so pretty cool that Safe Flight's willing to give up some of the the spotlight, if you will, right? When you sponsor a truck like this, right, costs money, and they want their logo on it, but they also understand that there's some bigger causes in life. So really cool that they're able to do that.
And that's one of you look at your foundation event, but you look at just everything that this sport does and giving back. There isn't a sport that I know of that does a better job than our community of drivers, sponsors, people, no matter what it is. Everybody's supporting everybody's foundation, and there's a lot of great causes in this garage to give back to the community.
Well, look at it. Man, I say this all the time. I have maybe the dumbest job in America. I drive in circles all day long to win an empty cup, right? Like, think about it. That's pretty dumb. But if you're able to take that platform that God's given us to do this and inspire people to live a life of generosity and help out and do things, it becomes one of the most impactful jobs in the world. So we just got a great, opportunity here to try to do some good things. And a lot of, like Kevin says, so many great people in our sport. We may compete against each other, and on Sundays we want to rip each other's heads off. But Monday, a lot of times, everybody's good people, right?
And together.
I think that's pretty cool.
I thought that stat we saw there is pretty cool too about Corey Haim. 708 laps he's led through 11 races. That's the most ever. We're watching history being made, guys. The most ever anyone's led laps to this point in the year.
I don't think that count is going to go down. There's a real opportunity that those laps could keep adding up.
He could lead about 58 more tonight.
He could, but he's going to have his hands full doing that. These restarts are they're tough. They're tough to grab control. I don't care how fast your truck is. You got to do some serious defense in the first couple laps as the leader, because you got a lot of drag on the front of that truck when you got that clean air, and there's a lot of momentum and draft coming from the trucks behind you that you're going to have to defend. So really hard to keep the lead, even when you have a truck as fast as Corey does tonight.
He's led the most laps the last 2 races here and didn't win. And we've seen that story a lot this year, especially. So still got some work to do for sure.
Well, here we go. As the drivers approach the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone once again. We'll see if Corey Haim can add to that laps led total.
But good pushes on both sides. That top lane, though, it's pushing from 4 cars back. Really able to maintain with the front row this time. Corey's still able to clear, though.
Yeah, you see Raja all the way up at the wall right there, trying to make a bold move on the outside.
Raja was peeking up there. 3 wide. Lane Riggs changes lanes, gets a better restart this time. And we've talked about how fast that 34 truck is in the long haul. It gets steadied up here in 3rd or 4th. We could see some competition from Lane.
Yeah, we're still going to see at least one more pit stop here before the end of the race.
50 to 52 laps is about what we think these guys can go on through. Caution flies with some 30 or so to go. We'll probably see a lot of action on pit road. Grant Enfinger making a move.
Yeah, that's the first time we've mentioned Grant's name tonight.
Just ran in that ARCA race, so got some laps on this track today, and he's starting to make some moves. That red number 9 truck just ahead of Raja.
And that's pretty typical of that 9 truck and Grant. When they have to figure it out, they find a way to put themselves at the front of the track by the time that the race is usually in. So typical Grant Enfinger night.
About the calmest restart we've seen all night long, which is amazing. But they're strung out single file for the first time. But wow, Ross Chastain's right on the tailgate of Corey Heim.
And we continue to see this restart after restart with this 44 truck. He's able to maintain a relatively close distance with that 11 truck for the first 10 or 12 laps, but that's really when the difference starts to play out and the advantage that Corey Heim has on the long run.
Yeah, so you see Corey's not able to drive away quite yet. He's got all the trucks right there, right behind him. And you see Lane Riggs probably closing more than anybody else at the moment as he goes all the way down to the bottom while Ross is all the way at the top. It's going to be close. He's able to clear him.
Did it. Wow.
Wow, that was a strong move.
Power move off turn 2. And he's in position now, and he's been the guy that's had the most pace compared to Heim.
And here they go again, right? The two toughest ones in the Truck Series consistently this year has been Corey Heim and Lane Riggs, and they're going to duke it out again.
And we talk about the battle that they had last week, and you look at Lane Riggs. Really, it's been the last 2 weeks that he's been in contention to win those races on the last lap. We saw it with Carson Hocevar the week before it, last week's battle at North Wilkesboro. So we know that these two guys are contenders. They both want to win. But I got to believe, was that Busch?
Kyle Busch got the fence
Busch
a little
into
bit.
the wall a little bit.
Still made a pass.
How you
didn't
do that?
Really check him up. He didn't lift.
Runs into the
I
wall.
don't think Ross is going to lift either. Oh, yeah, he is. Kyle didn't give him an option. He was going to have to lift.
And there's Caden Honeycutt still hanging tight.
And you got to believe that 7 truck just keeps getting a little bit better and a little bit better. Those guys, with the experience that you have up on the pit box and in the driver's seat, those adjustments that they've been able to make, you got to believe that they're getting closer and closer to where they want.
But he scrubbed that wall with that right side, Kevin. I don't know how much damage is done to the, let's take a look here.
Ooh, it's a decent little kiss there. I think it's going to be all right.
See if he can keep the pace up as Caden Honeycutt looks to the inside of Ross. It's got to feel good for Ross being the Cup star, having his young teammate being able to get up there and battle with him like that. That shows a lot of promise for Caden Honeycutt and this Nice team.
Yeah, Caden Honeycutt. The guy drives everything. He's in pro late models, late model stock, super late models. Pro late model champion last year, Snowball Derby champion, comes in the Truck Series and is able to compete week after week. We've seen him make a couple mistakes here and there, but it's because he's in the front of the pack, racing hard. He just has that knack of being able to put the truck on the edge, really good about working his way through traffic, but he races a ton.
Well, I think that's something that just helps these young racers so much, and probably no one does it better than Kyle Larson, right? Yeah. Kyle Larson, he's in the car all the time, and as much as you get in the seat, you got to think that experience, no matter what it's in, is got to help.
Well, Josh is down with Chandler Smith, whose night ended early.
Yeah, Kevin, in a week after getting that win at North Wilkesboro, an unfortunate early end to the night. What happened there from your perspective?
By the looks of it, I think the 17 just got a little free under me and went to save it. And when he saved it, it kind of overcorrected into my left rear. And then I caught it, but we were, I guess, three wide with the 98, and he had nowhere to go. Just crappy deal. I felt like our number 38 Quicktide Products Ford F-150 was a brand new truck, our first in-house truck that we built at Front Row Motorsports. Everybody was excited, home race, 5 guys were out and everything. We were really bad in practice, threw the kitchen sink at it, and started off the race like, hey, we're actually pretty good now, but we got to go back on that. And just sucks. Felt like we were going to end up being pretty solid, but short-lived night.
Appreciate it, Chandler.
Well, Chandler's had a tough time on the mile-and-a-halfs. Obviously, the performance was fine, but his 3 worst finishes this year were on those mile-and-a-half racetracks.
Ben Rhodes with a pit stop. A little bit early, I think, Joey, to start making the scheduled pit stops. What do you think?
Yeah, I would think that's an unscheduled pit stop. I don't know exactly what happened there.
Hadn't had a Ben Rhodes type night. Always so good here at Charlotte.
Here, and he had a flat right front, and we've seen that a couple times tonight with a couple other trucks. They have a flat right front tire, and sometimes you wonder, okay, did you get the fence? Is that what it is, or is it aggressive air pressures? What may it be? Here we see a replay where it's down. And the right side of that truck looks pretty clean.
I just lost that right front tire due to wear or pressure or something.
Yeah, you see all the sparks flying out of that right front right there.
Now what he needs it to do is stay green. Keep the green flag out so everybody will have to go through green flag pit stops, and it'll all cycle through and he'll be fine.
Josh?
Well, yeah, and for Ben Rhodes in the 99, you saw him just on pit road. Well, the team thought a brace came loose and popped that tire. You had to come down and address that. But Ben's been going through it today, trying to get that truck exactly where he wants it to be. 8 straight top 10s here at Charlotte, but right now they don't have the truck they need to keep that streak going, Kevin.
Yeah, we saw Ty Majeski with the problems there, and he talks about his bad luck. You see the 99 with a right front tire. ThorSport hasn't been to victory lane. We've seen speed out of these trucks, been kind of an up and down start.
Yeah, but again, tonight, Jake Garcia, he's back in the 12th position, but he's the best ThorSport truck. And that's been sort of the story of the year. Dismal results.
And you see that average finish there on the screen of the ThorSport team.
Wow, that's uncharacteristic.
Really is, and we're talking about last year's champion with Ty Majeski. And you heard the disappointment from the Ty Majeski team on pit road. They felt like they were in a decent spot. We talked about him running 6th or 7th, and just not working out for those guys. We're going to take a brief break before we get to what could be green flag pit stops, and we'll see what happens when we come back. In just 2 days, it's the biggest day in motorsports as the greatest spectacle in racing. The 109th Indy 500 comes to Fox with Joseph Newgarden going for an historic three-peat. Coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern, Sunday on Fox.
Joseph Newgarden's team today was able to win the pit stop challenge up there with the old shell ride.
Cannot wait to watch the Indy 500. What a day we've got coming up on Sunday.
So are you up in the morning watching Monaco and then tuned into Indy? How's it usually work on this weekend for you?
Yeah, I mean, my eyes are mainly focused on the Coca-Cola 600 because I have something to do with that one. But I obviously want to watch the Indy 500. That one there is something that obviously I've invested interest in at Team Penske, and we want to see our guys do a good job up there. And but you know, you stay focused on the prize that you can win, which is here in Charlotte.
I always watched them all. I would
Did you
wait
really?
around and watch them, and I figure all the work at that point is done, Joey.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I never feel like I'm ready. I always feel like am I sure I'm ready? I must be missing something.
Kyle Busch is ready. He's been able to drive that 7 truck around Lane Riggs. It got a little wild. These guys racing together. But Kyle can't shake Ross Chastain, and Corey Heim has put about 4 seconds on him.
He's checked out.
5.
Heck, let's make it 5, Joey.
Yeah. Pretty impressive what that truck's able to do on the line. Holy cow, a big loose moment there.
And he's right on the verge of disaster up there. He's the one pushing that groove on both ends of the racetrack right up against the fence. All the way in the top lane through 3 and 4. You know that can be challenging with the way that those bumps are on the entry to the corner. Has to fade down a little bit on the exit, but big run off the corner.
As I was wondering what Kyle was going to do there. He's able to get such a big run. He's able to clear Ross before he gets back in the corner and find his lane again back up top. So, yeah, these trucks are pretty equally matched. If anything, I'd say Ross might be a little bit faster, but just not able to get in front of Kyle.
Be interesting to see who can do the best job. And this is another example of when you got to keep it clean. Here
we go.
Comes
Right here.
Lane Riggs is coming to pit road. We cannot make a mistake here and speed on pit road.
Yeah. Josh?
For the 34 of Lane Riggs, they've been trying to get that truck dialed in right. He said it was too free during that last run, too much air in the right rear, so they're going to try and make an adjustment to help him out along with those tires.
Well, and this is the start of that strategy, as you see Caden Honeycutt on pit road as well, trying to short pit to make up some ground on the guys that they were racing around.
Corey Heim comes in already. I'm surprised. I thought he would stay out there with the 5-second lead, that it would take maybe 5 or 6 laps before he decided to pit. Pulls the trigger pretty early here.
Just 30 laps to go, Todd, as Corey Heim comes to you.
Yeah, Michael, you know, as race car drivers, it's not often we get a perfect race truck, right? Again, Corey Heim has asked for no adjustments. He is in love with this truck. He says it's on a rail.
Well, he's definitely looked like he's on a rail, and I'm with you, Joey. I'm surprised that he didn't wait for a couple laps just to let this cycle. He had such a big lead, and a lot of times when you have that big lead, it gives you an opportunity to make sure that most of the guys that you're racing and the caution doesn't come out during that time frame.
Yeah, you said it. If the caution comes out right now, you look at where Corey Heim is. You know, Raja Karut's going to come out and say, hey, great, thanks, everybody. I'm going to be a lap ahead of everybody. Yeah, most of them are down a lap. You see Lane Riggs back there in 18th. He's down a lap. If the caution comes out right now, all those trucks that are still on the lead lap are going to be back in front of him.
What do you got down there, Todd?
Yeah, you guys are exactly right. Why did not Scott Zipadelli run Corey Heim a little longer? Well, when he saw those guys starting to pit, Lane Riggs come down pit road, the 7 coming down pit road, he felt like he just wanted to stay with his competition. They got that good a truck. He said, let's not beat ourselves. Let's just do what they're doing and beat them on the racetrack.
And maybe that's the other piece of it, Kevin, is that if they have a bad pit stop, they have 5 seconds to spare. Just pit the same time as them. We can have a 3-second slower pit stop. We're still going to be 2 seconds ahead of them when we come off pit road.
I always like to have the advantage of the tires too, I feel like when you wait a couple laps and you're able to stay on the racetrack, lose a second or two of your gap, but you have 2 or 3 laps, better tires, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, and you lessen your risk if the caution comes out. Like right now, those guys are all still, I mean, Heim's the only one that's on the lead lap.
Right.
But obviously a lot of them, Mozak, Chastain, Riggs, all those guys are trying to fight to get back on the lead lap.
And then you've got the other side of the strategy right here for the 71 truck and Raja. You want to wait as long as you can and hope that the caution comes out at some point, and then you get that tire advantage and you get the lucky caution flag. So
Just
got to roll the dice every once in a while.
this is one of those situations where you've made your bed, Raja has. Now he's going to have to lay in it for a little while.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a short break. You won't miss a thing with Fox side by side. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. You didn't miss anything here. Rajah Caruth still your leader. All of our previous leaders have been on the pit road. Corey Heim running 7th right now, who was the leader before this pit cycle started here.
That's some precision driving there on those old tires by Rajah, just putting it right out next to the wall.
I like the strategy, though. You know, Raja hasn't had the best truck tonight. He's not going to win the race with the speed he had, and if it just stayed going where it was going. So do something different, and maybe the cautions fall your way, and you're able to manufacture something out of it, and a chance to win, possibly. So you just don't know.
Significantly better tires if the caution were to fly, for sure.
And you just never know, and sometimes you just, like you guys say, you got to roll the dice, and hope is your best strategy.
Because right now, if the caution comes out, you got to ask, is Heim going to pit again?
That's right, and I'm curious about that because we've seen some mistakes.
As the leader crossed the line right there, we've reached our Craftsman 20 to go.
I think it's this time for Rajah coming to pit road down low off turn 2, making sure people know he's coming.
Yep, you said it. There he is on the binders.
And not something that you see all that smoke out of that left front tire as he locks it up coming onto pit road. Not something that these truck guys do often is green flag pit stops. So this is really good practice for that exact situation right there, understanding how to get on pit road, not slide the tire, but maximize everything you need to do.
Well, and also we've had a clean pit road so far through these green flag pit stops. It's really remarkable that these guys are able to get on and off pit road as fast as they do and not make a mistake.
See the right side tires on, go to the lefts. Looks like another clean pit stop, and off Rajah goes back into action.
Lights those tires up and gets out of there.
Yeah, you got to get that RPM up. You don't want to stall it.
Looks good.
See Stuart Friesen in the 52 truck right there. saw his trouble in qualifying today, had an electrical problem, also stayed out to roll the dice right here.
That's going to give the lead back to Corey Heim as the green flag pit stops nearly have come to an end.
2 tires on that truck.
Yeah, interesting call there with only 18 laps to go.
And this is going to give our lead back to Corey Heim, like Michael said. And when you look at the lap times that Corey Heim is putting up right now, doing what he's done all night. It's been a clean night, relatively clean night for the whole field.
Yes.
Yeah, the one accident,
And
clean on pit road. Sorry, Joe.
Absolutely. I was just pointing out for everybody back at home, it's confusing during green flag cycles where everybody's running, but once it cycles through, you can look at Ross Chastain right now. That's your second place car once everybody pits. You're still waiting on Hill and Wood, the second and third place car right now to pit, as well as Craftsman. Once they pit, then everything's going to kind of get back to normal.
And we talked about it in practice. Timmy Hill starting his 500th NASCAR race tonight, and he's riding along in second position saying, come on, caution flag, give me a break here on this big night for me and my team. 500 starts in NASCAR for Timmy Hill.
Listen to this thing, Mike.
He's just gunning it, isn't he?
Just carries that momentum. Just doesn't have to slow down as much as others. And he's going fast.
There's that beautiful number 56 for Timmy Hill. Ross Chastain's going to put the pressure on him and go around. So back to third, but playing the strategy card to try to get the best finish possible for he and his team. And if the caution falls now, he'll get that.
Ross Chastain's had a great night. We've seen the 44 Nice Motorsports truck run in the front of the pack pretty much since we've dropped the green flag.
There's Ben Rhodes. Remember, had that unscheduled stop before the regularly scheduled final pit stops began. He's been able to stay on the track, but still, because of the problems, down in the 20th position.
Yeah, and really for Ben, that was able to keep him on the lead lap. He had a long way, half the track to ride around the racetrack with that flat right front tire. So right now he feels absolutely terrible because of the tire advantage that everybody else has. He's been out there so much longer on those tires, trying to ride it out.
What about on our screen there, Caden Honeycutt? He's had just a solid night. He's up in the third position now. There's Caden going away from us after Ben Rhodes there. In that 45 truck. Brushed the wall early in the going. Thought maybe that could hurt the handling of that truck, but oh no, he's been really good all night. His pit crew's been fantastic on pit road, gaining spots every time they come on to pit road.
That's what it takes in NASCAR. It just takes everything to work at the same time, right? There's times you can have a good truck and the pit stops aren't on, and vice versa, and restarts and strategy. All of it has to work out perfectly to win these races, and no one knows that better than Corey Heim, right? Like, he's had everything kind of going right, but just one thing goes wrong and you don't win the race. So everything just has to be perfect in NASCAR racing, whether that's in the truck, Xfinity, or Cup Series.
And you see our pole sitter right here in the 17 truck, Gio Ruggiero.
What about Matt Mills putting it down to the bottom and taking that 10th spot away from Gio? He's up to 9th even.
Matt finished 4th in this race last year. Career best finish, as you see, 19 truck there. Daniel Hemrick split the 81 and the 17.
Differing tire strategies, pit strategies, you see differing speeds there, but nice run for Matt Mills in that 42. Still got a couple.
Fun in these green flag cycles because you got some trucks that may have stayed out a little longer and they got maybe 8 or 9 lap newer tires than you have, and it's just kind of interesting going back and forth right now of what ends up being the fastest, the short pit or the guys that go for the, maybe splitting it down the center, which is typically the fastest way of doing it. It's fun to watch it all play out.
I'll tell you one thing I think Corey Heim's maybe subconsciously thinking, or maybe just thinking it straight out. please, let's just not have a caution. I've figured out ways to lose these races so many different ways. If this thing stays green, I'm going to get the victory.
Well, Heim's had a lot of problems this year. As we go back and look at all these scenarios that he's gone through, you look back at Miami, loses power, had the dominant truck there. Go to Martinsville, blown tire from the lead. Go to Rockingham, just bad pit strategy, wound up putting himself in a bad position. Kansas, broken pit gun and a restart violation. See him right there, pulling out a line too soon.
Lane Riggs.
And then last week, spun out on the final lap by Lane Riggs, dominated that race. And you know right now, obviously you see him frustrated. Right now he's thinking to himself, what in the world?
He's thinking, like I said, he's thinking to himself, no caution.
No caution.
Let's run these 7 laps and let me get that beautiful ceremony in Victory Lane here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the coolest tracks in all of NASCAR.
And he's got one of the most interesting streaks on these mile-and-a-halfs going. He's won every other race for like the last 2 years, it seems. and this is his time.
He's up.
It's Heim time.
He's due.
It seems like he's due on the mile-and-a-half racetrack.
Oh, it's just wild to think that those 5 races you just pointed out, Kevin. He was the fastest truck in every single one of those. In position to win late in the race, every single one of those. How many wins, if just one of those things doesn't happen, how many wins he could really stack up this year? It'd just be wild.
I mean, we know 4 more for sure. We just saw. He's just steady and strong heading into this race.
Yeah, and when you talk about Corey Heim, he's 22 years old. We know that he has the capability. We watched him do it on Sunday. He finished 15th, 14th, 15th in his Cup start this year a couple weeks ago. But one of the best all time, Kyle Busch, comparing them through their first 74 career starts. Look at those stats. And you talk about those races that he could have won. He's won 14 compared to Kyle's 18, and we can add up a whole bunch of them just this year.
And look at all those other numbers, how eerily similar they are. That's crazy.
Really puts it into perspective because, you know, when Kyle was running truck races every week, I mean, it was like, oh, Kyle's in the race, he's going to win. You know, like you knew it was going to happen. And Corey Heim's putting up numbers that rival Kyle Busch's numbers.
Well, we knew he was special when he took on Kyle Busch toe-to-toe at Martinsville. A late restart, and he was able to start on the front row and outrace Kyle Busch and win that event. He made a statement that day, and he's been making them ever since.
Well, you see Kyle Busch, who's had a great career, won everything that you can win in stock car racing, NASCAR racing, short track racing. And you look at Corey Heim. To me, Corey Heim he's a Sunday guy. He's got that demeanor. He's got that swag. He's got the results. Already proved that he can be competitive in the Cup races that he's had the opportunity to do it in, and still driving the heck out of it, leading by 6 seconds.
Yeah, I might would check it up a little bit. Only a couple to go here right now. I might would just put her in cruise control for a minute. He got plenty of time here.
I think the spotter might have said, okay, buddy, let's just back her down a little bit. We got this.
Actually only 2 laps to go. So I think after that moment, we got to tell him to back it down. You're making me nervous.
You see Scott Zipadelli right there. You know, we talk about Corey Heim a lot tonight, but someone's building this truck.
Yeah.
And his team's doing an amazing job. But Scott Zipadelli obviously doing a great job on the pit box and building the setups to this racetrack.
White flag is out for Corey Heim as he has had an absolutely dominant day. Wins stage 1. Wins stage 2. The only way that they could take the lead away from Corey Heim was on pit road today. Kid has just done an absolutely amazing job. You see him go through turns 3 and 4 for the final time here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Corey Heim is going to win 15th career win in his 75th career start.
Wow. Just wow.
That's just the old-fashioned butt whooping.
That's what that was.
All that was.
Well, Corey Heim just completed the largest.
I didn't get the quickie out there. Should be like number 10 for us this year, but we'll
He just completed the largest margin of victory ever here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So that tells you what kind of butt whooping that he put on these guys today.
The team's all celebrating. There's the man.
Youngest driver to reach 15 career Truck Series wins. The list just keeps getting longer and longer.
Well, we said it early, it's nothing like winning in Charlotte with all your team members here and folks that work so hard to make sure you've got the truck to go do the job with. Celebrate with your family and friends.
And when you win that much, you learn how to do great burnouts.
Burnouts are always cool. It's just fun to do, you know? And winning's the best reason to do it. I mean, sometimes you just do it for fun in the parking lot, but this is much better at a racetrack.
There it is. What time is it? Somebody tell me.
It's Heim time. See the crew coming out to congratulate him, and that's got to be a relief. Even though they've run so good, to be able to close that out, win both stages, win the race, not have anything go wrong. As smooth of a truck race that I've watched in a long time as far as cautions. We only had one caution that wasn't for a stage.
Yeah, and the racing was incredible from lap 1. You think at the beginning of this race, there was trucks everywhere, and they all raced each other really good, and there was good side-by-side action, good strategy there, and yeah, the best truck won the race, no doubt.
No doubt. He said it should have been Heim time about 10 times this year, but 4 is good, and we could think of 4 or 5 others he could have won. It's just been incredible, really, what he's done.
Well, I believe we're 11 races into the season, so 4 of 11, that's not a bad average. That'd even be great. That'd even be great in baseball. Todd?
Corey Heim kicking butt and taking names and dominating this race. Led a high of 98 laps out of the 134. My friend, what is it like to go out there and dominate a race like this?
It's honestly just nice to be far enough away where someone can't clean me out, to be honest with you. But no, just super thankful for Truck on Garage, Toyota Safelite. This thing was obviously really good. I felt like we've had the speed the last couple of years here, just circumstantially haven't been able to get it done. So obviously just such a good truck, had to execute. On my part, Picker did a great job, just a really nice clean day. Pumped up about this one, felt like we gave a couple away the last 2 weeks, but redeemed ourselves tonight.
We were in the trailer earlier before practice, and we were talking about you guys inventing ways to give these races away and everything that could happen. Tonight, it went perfect. What is it like to drive for a race team like this and a crew chief like Scott Zipadelli?
Yeah, it's a special feeling. I mean, I think everyone can tell how good this truck is, man, and it's just it's a pleasure to drive it. I feel like we, once again, just have been in so many good positions this year to execute and win, but just circumstantially, just one way or another, like you said, we found a way to give it up. But tonight they didn't have an opportunity, and we just executed really well, stayed out front all night, and that's all she wrote.
Great job. Corey Heim laying down a hammer at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
That's all she wrote.
Well, Todd, Ross Chastain comes home second in tonight's race. And Ross, you guys fired off really well. It just felt like you just didn't have enough in the long run to track down the 11. How do you evaluate the night?
Best in class, for sure, Josh. That's heck of an effort for Nice Motorsports across the board for 3 in the top 7. Caden right there on my back bumper. That's what we look for. We look for competition across all 3 trucks. For Al, and Al's super happy to get a ton of points and just have fast trucks. So for Matt, great run for their JF Electric Chevy. But for us, Protector Mellon Chevy, it's best in class. I mean, the 11 with Corey and Scott, they're the best in the field right now, and none of us had anything for them. The 7, the 38, 34, we're all racing amongst each other. Heck of a race back there, but with us, I can hold on for a few laps. So yeah, you're right. We've got to make it last longer.
Appreciate it, Ross. Best in class for the 44 in Nice Motorsports.
Well, we will be back to wrap things up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Another dominating night by Corey Heim and his team. Racing continues from Charlotte on Saturday with practice and qualifying from the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series leading into the Xfinity Series race at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on the CW. Well, it was Heim time again tonight, guys. Corey Heim just put on an absolutely dominant performance, put that truck in victory lane. Right on time, winning every other mile-and-a-half race. So it was his night, and he made it happen.
Did you say right on time?
Right on time, Heim time.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a dominant performance. You know what was crazy is the last couple of laps, he had that thing sideways. He was still digging.
I think he wanted to set that record about the biggest margin of victory here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's just trying to win all of it, set as many records as possible, and he's definitely done that. Fun to watch. So much good racing throughout the pack. We heard Ross Chastain talk about that, you know, how they had a battle back there from second to really sixth. They were just shuffling every single lap. That was fun to watch, but there's no doubt, like I said, the fastest truck won tonight.